Hi everyone, my name is Holly and I am autistic. Now, you're probably wondering what that word means, to be autistic? Well, I like to say it just means that my brain is wired slightly differently to everyone else's. This can mean I see things in a different way to other people. I may struggle to understand instructions that aren't clear, find it hard to look people in the eyes, have difficulty with loud noises, strong smells, or even being touched by certain people. I grew up in a family of 6, my parents, myself, my sister and 2 brothers, and I'm very lucky to have had a great childhood. We used to love playing video games together or going on bike rides, and I always used to look forward to the summer when we would go away on holiday and make lots of fun memories. Now, when I was diagnosed as being autistic, which wasn't until I had almost left secondary school, a lot of things from my childhood started to make sense. I knew I had always felt different, but I never really knew why. Why does it feel painful every time my brother kicks a football at my knees, even though he would just say, "No, it doesn't," and make me feel like I was making it up? Why did I constantly worry about 100 different things? Like, what if I don't understand what my teacher says and it's really embarrassing? Or, but I can't go to this birthday party because what if there's balloons and they pop because I don't like the loud noise? Or, what if I say something I mean to be good, but people take it the wrong way? Sometimes it was just easier to stay quiet. I would always eat the same meal growing up, as I had a limited diet with what I would eat. I found the seams in types too irritating. I couldn't speak when it came to meeting new people or being in new environments, and I always seemed to be into things that were seen as too young for my age. And yet, no one really seemed to question it or pick up on these things that I now know to be my autistic traits. When I was diagnosed with autism at 16, there were a lot of mixed emotions. My dad was very in denial that anything was different about me, and he had been all throughout the assessment process. My mum tried to defend me a bit more on what I was struggling with, but I'm still not really sure she understood. And then there was me, finally having found an answer as to why I am the way I am, but everyone seemed to look at the situation and go, "Well, that's that then," and moved on as if nothing had happened. This meant that I didn't really get to understand what it now meant for me, knowing that I was autistic and had been my whole life. I went on with my life, not feeling able to ask for things that would help with my needs, and everyone around me still not really knowing that the way I behaved and acted in certain situations was because I was autistic. I was 23 when I got my first job. However, this was very much pressured on me since I left school, since most other people my age were all getting jobs. Although, as an autistic person, I wasn't like most other people. In my opinion, my parents didn't understand the difficulties an autistic person could possibly face at work, such as talking to new people, struggling with loud noises and unfamiliar situations, the change in routine, and the stress of being in a busy environment, which for an autistic person can be really difficult to cope with. I was at college at the time and had enough to deal with that, as by the time I came back home from the day, I was exhausted. This is what my day would look like with things that would take up my energy. Firstly, having to endure the sensory nightmare of the bathroom getting too hot when I had a shower, sometimes having to lay on the floor for a while from feeling sick. Then having to brush my thick hair, which took a long time and a lot of effort, which most days I just didn't do it to save my energy. Next was having to make breakfast, but finding the bowls and spoons needed washing up first, which meant I was using up more energy to do things. Then dealing with the noise of the bus to college, all the school kids shouting over one another and pushing their way onto an already full bus, which got very overwhelming. Sometimes I would arrive at college only to find out my teacher was unwell and I had to get used to a whole new person in the space of a few seconds, which didn't always go well for me. It was also dealing with the bright lights of the kitchens that kept flickering and making me feel sick. The constant worry of, am I going to be asked the next question? And trying to make sure I didn't get noticed as I hadn't understood the work we were doing and was too nervous to say so. Then it was all the conversations I had to keep up to keep my friends happy and trying my hardest to make sure I agreed with and liked all the same things as them, just to fit in and so they would like me, and so I didn't get bullied like I did at school. I now know this to be called masking. Not feeling able to be yourself and changing yourself to be like other people, to fit in and not stand out. It's tiring. And then I would come home and have to find the time and energy to study and do my homework. I was exhausted. I would often come home, sit on my bed and watch my favourite TV programme or play my favourite computer game, just to try and relax after the busy day I had had. Some people saw me as lazy. I was only in college 3 or 4 days a week, and I spent most of my spare time in my room by myself. This was because I had been so exhausted and overwhelmed by the day that I needed the time to relax and calm down from it all. And even though I was diagnosed as autistic, it still didn't really mean anything to me, as no one around me really tried to understand or even explain to me what it meant. It was really only in the last couple of years that I felt more confident to look into what it means to be autistic and how this affects my life. Now, one thing that a lot of autistic people can have is something called a special interest. And one of my special interests, besides rubber ducks and the colour yellow, is music. I never leave my house without my headphones. I'm always listening to my favourite songs on repeat. I love to play the piano and I sing wherever I go, even if people down the street can hear me. When I was 16, I started a YouTube channel where I was posting videos of me singing and playing the guitar and the piano. This was something that made me really happy. I was uploading music to my YouTube channel for a few years, and then I started to follow some people on Instagram that were also autistic, also known as a neurodivergent person, like myself. It was amazing to see the things they were posting and how much I could relate to them. It was also really reassuring, as a lot of my life I felt like I was making it up or being silly, and that I was just overreacting to a lot of these things. But to hear it from so many other people who felt the same was the best. This made me want to start using my YouTube channel, not just to share the things I love, like my music, but also to help educate people and share all about my experiences and life as an autistic person, so that no one would ever feel the same way that I once did. Now, I've never been one to find talking about how I feel or my emotions easy, but making videos and preparing what I was going to say and having the time and space to get my thoughts across in my own way was amazing. I also found it much easier to write what I'm going through or how I'm feeling as songs. It's how I feel the most able to get my feelings out of my head and have fun at the same time creating music and songs that I love. So back in 2022, I wrote an original song called This Is Me. It's a song all about what it's like for me as an autistic person. It now has over 17,000 views on YouTube, and it gives me so much joy to know that people can relate to the words and they can use it to help them understand more about their autism or other people's. This song is now a part of my first album, which I brought out last year, called This Is Me, along with some other songs all about my autism, anxiety and mental health. As well as my music, I also post lots of videos talking about overcoming my anxiety, what life can be like for autistic people, and just general videos about my life. Since doing these videos, it has helped me grow in confidence, and I could see the comments of people telling me how much it was helping them too, and that's what makes it all worth it. Now, it's important to remember two things. Firstly, what I've shared today is just my experience as an autistic person. Every autistic person is different and will struggle with different things in different ways, just like every non-autistic person will. I know I've spoken a lot about the struggles of being autistic, but it can have its strengths too. For example, I often notice small details that other people might not pick up on. I'm good at recognising patterns in things. I like routine, which can make me very reliable, and when I'm really passionate about something, I focus everything I have on that one thing, which means I can learn really quickly. And this leads me on to my second thing, which is that being autistic isn't a bad thing, and it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It's taken me a long time to learn that, and it just means that we see things a bit differently to everyone else, and that's okay. Imagine if everyone in the world was the same as my brother, for example. It may be fun for a day or two, but then it would just be boring. Everyone would wear the same old looking clothes, the same weird haircut, make the same annoying jokes that aren't even that funny. You'd get bored of it after a while. Our differences are what makes us all unique. For example, I laugh at the little things that other people don't find funny, which I used to think was a bad thing, but now I learn to embrace it. I have a friend who's from America, and it's so cool to hear about her stories growing up and what it's like there compared to here in England. Another friend of mine is always dyeing her hair different colours, and it shows off her personality. And I have another friend who never fails to make me laugh, even when I'm feeling sad. And it would be boring if they were all the exact same. So, this is me, Holly. I'm 26, autistic, and proud to be different.